It's story time.
I think we're here. I think it's story time, and yet there's little churny things. Still moving, still interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so every time I come to be in this space with you at Storytime, something is just a little bit different in terms of Facebook, in terms of the world, in terms of even in terms of my morning routine. Sometimes I've had my breakfast and done my personal reflection meditation time. And other times it's kind of still a work in progress. So what I wanted to share with you today is kind of more about the middle, right? So the Buddhists teach the middle way as a strategy for not falling into excess and not falling into super austerity or neglect in some sense. So that middle area is kind of the pregnant pause, so to speak, between what we might be hoping for, what we might be expecting, and what we are coming out of or trying to get out of or growing out of, all of those things. Now, as the middle child in my family of origin, I also have an experience of the middle from being one of 7 children. Now, to be completely honest, that was also kind of cushioned or offset by the fact that I am also the oldest daughter. And so according to, child rearing teachers and whatnot, that there's something unique about being the middle. Almost as if there's a constant striving to be noticed. And it's kind of similar in the sense that when we're in the middle of a transition, of transformation for that matter, it can often be daunting to trust the process. It can be overwhelming to see how much of the road is still ahead. And this is not unlike being a middle child. This is not unlike being in the middle of pregnancy. I spent all weekend sharing prenatal and fertility yoga teacher training. And I love teaching. I love being able to pass on the philosophy and the wisdom and the practical application. But between the extended time that our nation took to count the ballots and to get a result for our national presidential election, in addition to teaching on pregnancy and prenatal, and feeling the kind of after effect, the glow, so to speak, of the outcome, of having the answer, having an answer. Now, I don't know whether or not you were thrilled by the election results and the AP's declaration of Biden and Harris moving on as president-elect and vice president-elect. But I think we all had a certain sigh of relief in getting the results and having the next step declared, the next evolution or the next progress, the next milestone, so to speak. So that kind of brings me back to the point that the middle is always there, but in the middle is also the beginning and often an end. Let that sink in for a moment. The middle, we really don't know what the exact middle is until we can calculate the data after the fact. In fact, math gives us 3 middles, right? The mean, the median, and the mode. 3 different ways to understand the average or the middle, depending on whether you're talking about the distance middle between the endpoints of extremes, whether you're talking about the middle in the sense that where is the majority, the 50% of whatever we're counting, right? Where is that fullness place? And then the other component is what's the most common, right? In the sense that what's the highest specific space or the highest exact experience that everyone is having within this test, right? So in that sense, right, It may not be completely the middle, but it's the place where the most data is available. And that's often the place where we pause to notice. So we're going to keep this short and sweet today because there's still a lot unfolding. There's still a lot to be digested and dissected in terms of, well, what's next for us? What's next for us as a nation? What's next for us as a community? What's next for us as an individual? The pandemic is not resolved. The economic burden has not been settled. I haven't gone back to teaching in person with full classes. I'm still doing everything virtually, which honestly looks like this a lot of the time. Me alone in the studio talking through some sort of digital camera. But I also am grateful for this practice of learning about being in the middle, because it not only helps clarify that there is often room to pause, room to rest, but in that rest we can breathe, move, give ourselves permission to begin again as often as we need to, knowing that the next step is coming because nothing is permanent. This middle space is the beginning, is the next fresh start. So what do I want to do with it? What do I want to breathe, move, and rest, knowing what I know now? How will I take that next right step? This is living our yoga beyond the mat, beyond the cushion. So I got a bit of a tongue twister of a poem that is one of my favorite, and it's literally in the middle of this book, which is one of my go-tos, my favorite go-tos for inspiration in my yoga teaching. Additionally, this teacher, this author is a favorite teacher of mine, and The Inner Traditions of Yoga is a book that he has written. His name is Michael Stone. In fact, I intend to lead a book study on that book coming after the beginning of the new year. So reach out if you are interested in learning more about that. So here we are in the middle of our journey of life. No matter how many years are behind us and how many days or moments we have, how many breaths we have ahead of us, we're in the middle of something, and it matters. It matters because it's in this pregnant pause of paying attention that we can choose how we will show up for what's next. Michael Stone, matters. In the middle, the only thing important is in the end. In the beginning, the only thing in the middle, the only thing really in the middle. In the start and in the middle, the only important thing is the tenderness. Nothing matters in the end but the tenderness, the affection in the middle. Rough in the raw, in the middle, it's the affection, the indiscriminate, the case of the ending. The love without brackets, the end of the start. And in the middle, the only thing is the tenderness, the affection, the navel, the heart. The beginning is always all beginning. With ending in the middle, when you end in the middle, you begin, and begin tenderness. In the end, the only thing ending is this. Much of my life, I struggled with endings, fearful of endings, not knowing what was next, coming to the end of high school, looking at making my decision for university, for college, coming to the end of pregnancy and not knowing exactly what kind of mom I was going to be for these children, and that happened all 3 times. Coming to the end of the day and not sure necessarily how to begin the next. These are parts of everyday living. And when we can redefine the end, not as something that is done or finished or even perfect and complete, but something that is in fact still in process, and we can begin again with the breath. This is a practice that has helped levitate my heart, helped clear my mind and reduce what has been a lifelong journey of coping with anxiety. Accepting that I don't have control over everything, but I do have agency. I do have the ability to focus my attention. And there really is no greater gift than to give our attention. And when we give our attention to what is here right now, in this moment, we can begin again with every single moment, with every single breath. So if it's a beginning, if it's a middle, if it's an end, it really is all an opportunity to connect deeper with what is right here, right now. Thanks so much for joining me today. Thanks for letting me share this poem. It's a very special poem to me, and a little bit about how I'm feeling here in the middle of this transition. Hopeful and looking forward, and yet maybe there's some anxiety and anxiousness for the fact that we don't have all the answers. Can we be with that uncertainty? Can we be with this unclarity? Unclarity? Can we be with this fogginess? How about that? May you be well today. May you continue to explore where the middle lives for you, where you can begin again, and what it is that perhaps you are ready to let go of as you discover who it is that you are truly meant to be in this world, in this time, in this moment. May you breathe deeply, move freely, labor lovingly, and live vibrantly. I am so very grateful for you and grateful for the opportunity to share my story, and I look forward to hearing yours. Be well. Namaste.